Okay, so now we're back. Hopefully, everyone was able to kind of, meet some new folks, or maybe meet some folks who you are familiar with, or see some folks you were familiar with, and really just want to kind of use this time to allow anyone really to uh, kind of share anything you found in terms, anything you may have been new to you in terms of sharing kind of what you learned in terms of new challenges that people are trying to solve with QuickBase, or or we'll kind of start there, kind of go in order. If anyone wants to share any of the challenges that you're trying to solve with QuickBase, I can, if so, just uh, mention, say, like, put your name in the chat, and we'll kind of choose someone to speak and kind of go in that order if you want to share. If we have that capability, make sure. Okay, it looks like Derek Davis, if he wants to go.
Hey, good morning. So we had a small breakout group. Some of us in the telecom industry and the solar industry, construction part of that, and some of the challenges and things we were talking about is getting management adoption to support pushing some tools out. Other parts are the form factor, whether we're using Android or iOS devices for those with the boots on the ground and communicating with them, and protecting those devices or preventing them from being stolen. Also, the form factor, I brought up the fact that sometimes when I'm dealing with people who are in the office and they're trying to communicate with someone in the field, the mobile view doesn't render the same way, obviously, as a desktop view. And when you're trying to convey and, hey, click here or go there, and part of our things that we do at my company is we say, click out of mobile view, go in desktop view, because it's a consistent view between the two people from the back office to the field office resources. And then I think most of us were about 3 years or longer working with QuickBase. And then also one of the other points we were talking about is protecting resources in the field from being poached from wages in other markets. So that topic came up, some challenges we're having with keeping resources there. I don't think that's a QuickBase solution, but that was an expression from the group.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Anyone else want to share anything they found?
Yeah, this is Farah. I've been having a lot of trouble with sort of how to figure out how to integrate document annotation with really large construction documents, document retention. So I'm interested if anybody has any solutions on that. With regard to Derek, we've had the same issue in trying to communicate to our field staff. One of the things that I did was I have a redirect button for we gave our field staff tablets. So they're a much larger screen and it works. Some of them are easily able to go into desktop mode. The other thing I did is I put in a redirect button. So I redirect, our PMs can change the page to see what the mobile view would look like. So instead of having to use the background switch, they can just go to a different page that's set up to look exactly like the mobile view. So that helps a little bit. Does anybody have any thoughts on I'm interested in how you've come to approach the problem of large document retention and sharing with your clients with QuickBase?
Yeah, I'll leave that.
Harder, we're using Ignite to link to cloud storage for live documents. That's working well for us now. Some of my other team members could probably speak to that in more detail. But that allows us to surface buttons in apps that connect directly to those documents. And we've figured out a way to do revision control on those as well. We're having some pretty good success with that.
Awesome.
Can you say what Ignite is? I'm not familiar with that.
Ignite is a cloud-based file storage service. Brian Williams can probably give you some more background on that.
Yeah, it's much like a Dropbox or any of those type of cloud platforms, but it's a little bit more industry trended. It's been working well for us. They have a good construction focus.
So I would so John and Brian and myself, this Pat Winger, work together. And I see a real paradigm shift for our company, and it's still early. But what I really like about it is, in the past, we had file storage on-prem servers. Brian's is with the IT team, and managing those servers and permissions was not exactly easy. What we really like about integrating with a cloud server like Ignite and QuickBase is you can create reports that become the UI for people's interaction with the documents. And then we have complete control of how the documents get named, how they get placed. We can tag them with meta tags so that they're searchable. But generally speaking, I want to create an environment where people don't actually interact with the server directly at all. They interact with the front end like a QuickBase UI. And I really like that because in QuickBase, you've got roles and you've got permissions and you've got reports. So you can tailor people's interaction in a much more dynamic way than you can when they're interacting directly with Ignite. Our security is better. We don't wrestle with the problem with the files actually being in QuickBase. That's been a little bit troublesome, right? Just based on the sheer size, the sheer volume of storage. And then like closing down apps or archiving this data is not as easy as we want it to be. So this has been a solution for all of that, but it's still kind of in the early stages for us, to be honest.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Anyone else have any other things that they want to share? We're got about maybe 5 or 7 minutes left before we kind of wrap up. So just want to see if anyone else has any other challenges, or if you want to share anything you've already solved, right? Things that are working really well that you want to kind of brag about or share.
So I don't want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just was wondering if you could real quick maybe put a link or put some information on Ignite here. I'm trying to get some research. I want to make sure I'm at the right place. That'd be appreciated. We can move on, Lawrence, if you don't mind.
No problem, Farah. Thanks.
Hey, Lawrence, this is Fennel Patel. I'm also part of construction industry, and we have utilized QuickBase successfully for document management, document retrieval, exactly what Farah was asking for. And
awesome. Thanks, man.
Put in my 2 cents in it. We have used literally saving documents in QuickBase in the tables itself, PDF deliverable record sets, and then circulated as a link if needed to notify all the connected parties about what is updated, what is added, etc. For your knowledge, we have also used QuickBase for our RFI tracking and change orders, etc. Same, which requires all kind of retention, record keeping, and time taking requirements. So we have developed some of our custom solutions for that. For our large file storage, especially with design documents, we had considered using, and we had used successfully Dropbox links as part of our QuickBase database. We had just cut and paste the links of the document. We cut and paste the links of SharePoint documents, and we cut and pasted links of OneDrive storage. And at some point, we had taken upon an internal project to develop a custom storage system utilizing AWS and tying it with QuickBase. Our approach was it was a lot more cheaper to store things on AWS than paying the terabyte or gigabyte spaces to QuickBase. So there are multiple approaches we have used, and hopefully that input helps you.
Awesome. Thank you, Fennel. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
Yeah, this is Ivan. I just posted a note in there, but we started talking on our group, but then the note came up that we ran out of time. But portals, like for subcontractors, clients, we started with QuickBase last year, and I kind of see that as the next evolution for us to go into. But I'm obviously very worried about the security, about letting outside people have access to the system. So I'm just curious about anyone that may be able to have, we have clients on multiple projects. So how do they get project status portals? see open punch list items, RFIs, share documents, but not for file storage so much as information on, and same thing with subcontractors. How do we keep them informed? So I don't know if anyone's layered another level of communication between QuickBase and the outside world.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to take that one, or if you have any experience.
Ivan, Derek, similar challenge. We were trying everybody on the internet, and that was not the most secure route. We run into some challenges with that on certain things. The only thing that we've got right now as our solution is a totally separate QuickBase app that quarantines them using connected tables and giving them the data on a user level profile. But a subcontractor portal, and I never kind of thought of phrasing it that way, is one thing that we're looking at, especially since we have such a large volume of subcontractors. But I'm thinking a separate app that's quarantined. But we can talk more offline too, and I can share what we've learned, but we're still challenged through it as well.
Hey, Derek and Ivan, this is actually something I'm currently looking into as well. I've gone the path of creating a new role for essentially the subcontractors to be able to view specific items. I've kind of tested it in kind of like the test environment, and it really does restrict the information I don't want them to see, especially like any kind of costing or anything like that. Have you guys already done that? Just so I'm not running down a road that you guys may have already ran down.
The only caution I would give you with that is that QuickBase has a tendency to give permissions as opposed to having you explicitly offer them. So when you create the role and you set things up, but we're constantly creating brand new reports and tables after that has been finished. And oftentimes we'll see that things that are exposed that we never intended after the fact, which I
Okay.
don't like. I would rather give deliberate permission as opposed to remembering to turn things off.
That's exactly what I'm afraid of, is that just somehow, some way, something gets exposed that we didn't plan on, and we only catch it because,
Yeah.
So, by the way, here's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Y'all can use field level access.
I'm going to second Derek and Ivan. I've had some difficulties. It becomes difficult to manage, especially when the demands grow and grow, permissions when you're in one app. So I'm interested by the secondary app solution. That sounds like it might be a good one with you can completely isolate the permissions and isolate the information. But I would be cautious about bringing outside people into the same app. It gets very hard for me to manage permissions. It's already hard for me to do it internally. I'm really hesitant to do it externally with external users.
Yeah, role-based solution that you're talking about, I would couple that with the external app, just because if you're watching QuickBase URLs, you may not have access to things intentionally. Reports, I don't like the fact that report structure can be exposed so that you know fields in there. You may not see the record level data, but I don't even want them seeing the structure. So as an example, you may not have permission to a financial report at all, but if you watch the URL and finagle it enough, you can fake it and get it to show. And if you don't have user record level protection, they'll see the data. Or if you do have user record level protection, they'll just see an empty report. I don't agree with that.
Well, and even the basics of to get them in the system, they have to be the internet user as opposed to like an authorized user, unless you start buying seats for everyone. So it starts to get very cost prohibitive to lock it down with seats. Otherwise, like on the client front, how do I keep one client out of the other client's projects? They need to authenticate somehow. So that.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. This is Pete Mosier from QuickBase, and I'll just jump in and say, I think the best practice is to have authorized users and really have people authenticate in. The everyone on the internet approach really isn't great. I understand the costs there. I think that I would encourage everyone to have a discussion with your account execs to figure out an approach that makes sense financially and economically. But just when you're talking about sharing sensitive data with particular groups, and we at QuickBase do that too with our service provider partners, our QSPs. We have a portal that our partners can access, but they can't see each other's information, and there's certain information that they can't see about QuickBase as well. So it's contained and it's differentiated. But definitely I would recommend staying away from everyone on the internet. Just have a discussion with account execs regarding a way that you can do a portal to get your subcontractors in there.
Yeah, our challenge is, we're 50 users and we would need 1,000, seats in that regard. And it just,
I'm seeing that they're going to close us down in a moment. Is there a way for us to notate who to reach out to on this discussion with the Ivan and other folks that we can kind of connect up, maybe on Slack or something to continue?
Yeah. To that point, we are wrapping up, but we have some things actually in the chat. Two things actually. There's actually a link that will allow you to kind of continue on with individual conversations. That kind of details where you can access our Slack. But also, there's going to be a Menti that we're going to bring up in a moment that you can actually go to if you want to share your information with others who are in the actual session today, just to continue on maybe one-on-one if you'd like to as well. So we definitely want to encourage that continued conversation, and definitely want to, again, thank everyone for participating and kind of contributing in the breakout. So as you can see on screen here, here's the Menti if you want to submit your information to be shared. Again, to note, this won't be distributed amongst us, but again, if you want your information to be shared there, you can do that as well. And of course, again, the link to the Slack information is there in the group chat here for Zoom. So definitely.
Sorry, Lawrence, to cut you off. Is there a way I can take like a minute? Because I wanted to share something that we've been doing here with subcontractors and external view. Do we have time, or would you rather share? Or would you rather me sharing that information on Menti?
If you don't mind, I think we are kind of up on time. So
okay.
Just want to make sure, we can keep everyone moving along to the next sessions that we have available. But I definitely appreciate it. And definitely please continue the conversation in the other channels.
No problem.
Awesome.
Slack channel might be a good place for that, Derek, if you hop into that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what's the shortest hash code for everyone to remember to just jump over there. Construction networking, I guess, for the channel.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you everyone again. This is great, and again, wish you the best throughout the rest of the session here in Empower, and feel free again to use the Menti and the Slack channels.